Hello, my beautiful audience, and welcome back to Farming Simulator 25. This is episode 2 of the Empire of Dirt. I am Rash Decision. Let's go ahead and get into it. First part, we are going to need, where we left off previously, we've got everything sold. We're into the second year now, and we now need to get onto our fields. Hang on, guys. We're going to get into it. All right, and if you remember, we need to look at lime for these fields. None of them have been limed. All three of them have been fully plowed and de-stoned. Now they need lime. They need seeding. And I do apologize. I do want to talk to you for just a moment here. I am an idiot. I'm an idiot. I did not realize that seeders and planters had changed, and I'm glad I actually went testing it before I started spouting nonsense on YouTube for everyone to hear. No, it used to be that you would be able to use a seeder for, and I'm talking about used to be in such context as like Farming Simulator 19 and 22. I thought we would be able to continue those traditions and use a seeder to do planting for all three of the crops that we needed, or all four of the crops, I should say, all four. Go open up the shop from my tablet here, and we're going to have a look at the seeders really quickly to show you exactly what I mean. Seeder, here we go. Seeders can only do wheat, barley, and oat. They can also do rice, short grain rice. I really don't want to have to do rice if I can avoid it, because that's going to get into like rice patties, and I'm not quite ready to go down that road just yet. We're going to kind of stick to things that I know that can make some money, and we'll experiment with things later. But for now, seeders can only do our cereals and one legume. And when we go out here, we look at planters. Planters can only do sorghum and our soybean right there. They can also do a few other things, but I'm not really interested in those other things. Like if I was going to do sunflowers or corn or something like that, I would be more interested. I'm still thinking about doing it with a planter, just because this nice little inexpensive one, or I'm sorry, this first one, I should say, I didn't realize that price, is actually exactly what we're looking for, because it can plant without prior cultivation. I don't think there's going to be many of those in here, because there's just not. This really expensive one, or these really expensive ones, I should say, both of these will do seeding directly without cultivation. That is very handy to have when you're at the late middle game, I should say. But this one here, this one, kind of interesting. It's only 200 horsepower, but it's also only 4 meters. Does 9 miles per hour, so it'll move kind of quick, but it's also very expensive. So it's difficult to justify. When I go into, now luckily this time I don't have to worry about cultivation, but this is kind of future thoughts. This is the one that we start with on this map if we wanted to go this direction, but I'm not actually a fan of this one. I've used it a couple of times already in testing and in my private game, and it didn't really do that great of a job, and mostly because if you notice, a lot of these, this one's actually a little bit different, because I'm not quite sure what's going on here. But yeah, if you notice, 7 miles per hour is what's on these two that I'm pointing out, and most of the time you're going to find like 9 or 11. And usually the 7 mile per hour ones, I'm not quite sure what's up with them, why they have to go so slow. I'm guessing it's because they're using power harrows on the front of them rather than direct tines, just hard mounted tines. But this one does use hard mounted, well, not really tines, but it does use hard mounted discs. So I'm not quite sure why this one's at 7 miles per hour, but usually, my point is, usually you see like 9 miles per hour or even 11 miles per hour like this one. This one right here is actually calling to me, and I looked at it previously because it's only 180 horsepower requirement, does seed and fertilization, and it does it's only 4 meters, which is a little bit smaller than the base model. It's 4 meters, but it's also significantly faster, and it can seed directly. Now, if we look at this one, yeah, it can't seed directly, even though it has that power harrow, which doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. It has that power harrow, but it cannot seed directly. But this one, it's a good price, has all the features we're looking for, and it's actually really fast. So this one right here is actually going to be a really, really good target for what we're looking to do. But for now, I've already got the cultivation done. I've already got destoning done. All I need is something that can do really just something that can plants in the ground right now. So let's go ahead and start with fertilizer spreaders. Now we have to, if we're going to do lime, if you notice down here, there's only one here that actually can do lime, and that is this one. And we're just going to go ahead and do the larger discs because the extra money for it, I'm just going to lease it for now, but the extra money for it does make a big difference. It is actually well worth the extra 8,000 that it tacks on. Believe me, it really makes a big difference in your work quality. Go ahead and just do the big because it doesn't really add that much, but it still adds a ton of space in the unit. And we're actually just going to grab this one and lease it right off the bat, about $3,000. Let's go ahead and grab our tractor. I'm gonna run in through this door. Let's see. So there's the lizard. Here's our tractor. This is our final end goal product right here. If we use the small scrap style production facilities, they produce at 1/10 of this production. So they'll have the same number of cycles. They'll have the same costs. That's very important. But they will only produce taking 9 flour and turn it into 4.5 bread every cycle. So 120 times a month, you're making 4.5 bread. And if you do the math, that's only around half of a pallet of bread every month. So it's very important you keep that in mind. Whereas if we take it to the proper bakery, it's only 50,000. So it's already only just a little bit less expensive, or I'm sorry, just a tiny bit more expensive than the hut style. If you notice, that's 36,000. It would only be 14,000 more to purchase the full size bakery, which is again 10 times faster. However, the grain mill, this one actually is worth it because this one is around 1/10 of the price. It's actually a little bit more than 1/10 of the price. So if you bought like 8 of these, you could buy the grain mill. So it is still better to purchase the grain mill outright. It's not a good buy for these, but if you're just looking to make like a little bit of something to kind of get some maybe grain out of your silo or something like that, these are a great idea. These are a really good idea. But if you're looking for large scale production to make money, these are not a good idea. I don't recommend them if you're looking to make actual money. If you're doing a survival playthrough, that is actually one thing I will say. They are physically cheaper. The bakery, do not recommend. Save up the extra 14,000. Go buy the real bakery. For a grain mill? Yes, that's a good idea actually. Especially for like the oil mill and like the grape processing, those can be expensive, as well as the sawmill and the spinnery. A lot of these are a decent idea if you're just looking to get something off the ground. If we talk here for just a moment, if we look at the bread, it takes it's going to take flour at a 2-to-1 ratio to make bread. So that means half of your flour is going to turn directly into bread. So if we look at the grain mill, and we're going to be planting oat all the way across, I would like to plant a little bit of everything. That's usually what I would do. If we planted oat all the way across, it's going to turn 1-to-1 into flour. And if we assume that I'm going to get around, let's say 32,000 liters, that sounds like a pretty good estimate for this size of these sizes of fields. That's going to be 32,000 liters of flour that I would be able to produce, and then that's going to be 16,000 liters of bread. So let's actually take a quick comparison real quick. Let's see, let's look at oats first. I'm actually going to show you right here exactly what I'm talking about, and I actually did some math in between while making this video, and I realized that I actually have been doing things a little bit wrong in my testing file. I am correct in the fact that when you have oat, just by itself, oat, It sells for 11.32, and oat is a little bit special because it does have a lower yield, so it ends up causing a little bit of a disruption in how much flour you get, even though oat is a one-to-one comparison for flour. So you have 11.32 here for planting oat, and then flour actually comes out only actually a little bit higher. And the thing about that is flour compared to oat, compared to bread, flour comes out to be about 48,000 if I had 32,000 liters of oat. And bread only comes out a little bit higher. If we look here, bread has a higher number here, yes, and it does span over 2 months. So having bread is actually a really, really good idea. But when you actually do the math, we're looking at 3.5 times 16,000. If we start with 32,000 liters of oat, oat is 1-to-1 to flour. Flour sells for about 1,500, so that becomes about a little bit less than 48,000. And then if you think 16,000, because we're having our amount of flour to turn it into bread, so we have 16 pallets of bread, and each one of those is going to sell for about 3,500. So if you multiply 3.5 times 16, 3 times 16 is 42. Half of 16 is 8. 42 plus 8 is 50. So it's only a couple of thousand more to get bread, or to sell bread rather than just the flour. So that being said, it actually might behoove me to, instead of purchasing the bakery, to actually just grab the grain mill by itself, because that seems like it's going to be a little bit more of a profit margin up front, especially if I'm doing oat. I'm going to do the numbers really quick. I'll be right back with you. Our helper here seems to have run out of lime, so I'm going to go refill his lime for him, and we are going to be right back with you. And I'm going to do some math. We'll be back, and I'll talk to you about it. All right, and we are back. I've had a look at everything, and I think sorghum actually is going to be our winner here, because it is currently March. As you can see, it is raining, but our helper is done. I was coming back as they were calling me. I was coming back outside to get the tractor, see if we can get it, get our tool here returned to the shop, and see if we can get a hold of something. So at this point, it is do or die, and I think sorghum is going to be our winner. We're just going to wait until we're going to return this. We're going to wait until next month, and we're going to plant sorghum. And the reason being is that sorghum is going to give us a significantly better yield for flour. So when I did the math, I went and did some research, and I found that the output of sorghum is 8,200 per hectare, thereabouts. It's about the same as wheat. Wheat is a little bit higher at 8 and 7. Barley is really high at 9 and 6. And poor oat, it does have a higher price, and it makes it a little bit harder to use for this purpose. I was hoping I could use oat just because it was going to be a tight scheduling, and I didn't really have a lot of time in late last year, but that's okay. We're going to do sorghum because poor oat is only 5 and 7. So that means it only does 5,700 liters, thereabouts, every hectare. But the big thing that we can look at is now we can reevaluate. But hey, my tractor's clean. Oh, that's a first. My tractor's actually clean. Usually when it comes to tractors, I apologize for the tangent, but when it comes to tractors, I usually just kind of live and let live. Whatever they look like is what they look like, as long as they run good. So it's kind of weird for my tractor to be clean. And that's just that's just how it works. Don't worry about it. But yeah, when it comes to sorghum, we're going to come down to just over 7 pallets per hectare of flour once that process is done. And when you talk about that's coming out to 3.5 pallets of bread. All right, we are on our way to the bank here. It's raining. It is what it is. I found a buyer pretty quickly for the Old International. It wasn't too difficult. Just driving it around. The previous owner kept it in the garage and never really wanted to sell it. until my father had talked to him about it. But when people saw it just driving out around the road, it was basically a good condition barn find, is what you would really call it. So of course people were super interested seeing me drive it around. So here we are. I'm pulling up to the bank. I'm kind of pulling in right here. I shouldn't, but I am. Let me pull around and go ahead and park right here. Yeah, as you can see in the upper right, I do have a little bit more money now. Didn't quite get everything I put into that truck back, but that's okay. We're going to go in here, we're going to talk to him, and we may be walking out with a big fat loan for the grain mill. I think I'm going to hold off on the bakery. I'm going to hold off on the bakery because we don't have a big enough operation to make it worthwhile. We'll talk to you in a moment. All right, we are back. I am here at what is now the Rash Grain Mill. If you see down there to the right, it is owned by my farm. That is right, we have purchased the grain mill. I also overshot the loan a little bit just to help us out on the equipment front. I'm not a big fan of leasing, but we can lease a little bit longer and just kind of have some money on hand if something pops up in the used vehicles that we really could use. But I'm going to lease vehicles for a little bit longer until, oh man, I really can't see because of that B pillar. But I'm going to lease vehicles for a little bit longer, and we're going to get into next month to start our planting. And once again, just to recap, we are choosing sorghum as our crop of choice, and we're going to sell it as flour. Now, we need to go and get ourselves a planter, and I do notice there is this one. This one's a cedar. It's a massive cedar. It's a little bit more than what this tractor can handle, so I'm not even going to consider it. But I would really love to because it is a great price on it right now, but we can't. We got to have a planter, and we're gonna do our idea that we said previously. We don't have to get one that does the cultivation for us because we already have the cultivation done. This one's 4.5, 9 miles per hour, 6 miles per hour. This one's 150. This one's pretty solid. I can also grab a extra tank, one of the Kuhn tanks right here, and that would probably make this one work pretty well. There's also the Horsch tank right here. It's a little bit bigger, and it'll go really well with this one, which is a little bit wider, same speed. I could still run it. That one I'm not worried about. There is this one. This one's a little bit strange. I think this one, actually, I started to say this one's out of the running, but it actually might not be. But no, that's 11 miles per hour. Ugh. Okay, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and lease this one since we're just trying to get stuff into the ground as quickly as possible. We're going to lease $100. Yes. All right, let's go pick it up. And I got some seeds right here, which I'm fairly certain will fill that thing up. There's also the lime station. We can actually buy solid fertilizer from the lime station. So I'm just going to go grab it and bring it back, just wholesale, just bring it right back. Any seed or fertilizer we don't use, the fertilizer that comes out of this thing is going to be all the fertilizer the fields get. So I want to make sure it's absolutely as full as it can be when I start. All right, we got everything filled up. We are just about ready to get started with our planter. I've got it set to sorghum. I've got it full of seed and fertilizer. And now to actually show you why I chose this particular planter over the others that I had on option 4. This one here actually has a bit of a magic trick up its sleeve. As you can see, it was a trailer. Now you can connect up here, and of course we can fold away. There we go. And now it is a backpack. I really like using this one for this reason. It's one of the easier ones to use because it's so wide and it's a backpack model. Of course, I wouldn't really recommend using this one with a smaller tractor, especially, but we can get it to work. See, make sure we're aligned, good, and we're off. There we go. Now we're cooking. Realign. There we go. Because I'm going to need a tractor that has narrow tires, and I'm not 100% sure. I think I can get them for this tractor, but I'm going to have to look at how much they are before I do that, because I'm not going to blindly do it. The TM600s are perfectly fine. They really are. Realign here. Do a little bit of overlap. It's okay. Not a big deal. Yeah, actually, you know what? A roller might be a solid idea. Might be a solid idea. Let's go ahead and just realign here. Right, we're getting it going. Here we go. Cleaning that up really nicely. Real nice. Kind of loosening up those tire tracks and getting it all in there. Let's see. We'll raise this. Bring it back over here. There is going to be at least a couple of tire tracks left in it, but that's perfectly fine. I didn't expect it to be perfect. And especially when I missed that that one little spot. Actually, that wasn't bad, you know. I only left one tire track in it. Okay. So at this point, all I need to do is go back and we'll grab the other fields. Let's go ahead and get around this tree because this tree is going to cause me a problem. I'm going to have to cut that tree down. All right, we're working on the last field here. This is just for the planting. I had a look at what was available for rollers, and everything for rollers that's currently available is not very friendly to what I'm trying to do, and it wouldn't be enough of a benefit for my yield to go out of my way for that. So I'm not going to do that this time. I might do that in the future. I might do a roller in the future, but for the time being, I'm just going to get this last field planted, and then we will wait a month. I'm going to do the spraying for the herbicide spray, and then I do apologize. This is a little bit difficult to navigate because I can't see the bottom of that wheel. But I'm going to do the herbicide spray, and then we will probably just move forward to harvesting in the next episode. Let's go ahead and get this done for now, and then we'll talk about the herbicide spray in just a moment. Alright, we've finished up the planting process. Everything has been planted. I ended up with a lot more seed and solid fertilizer than I thought I was going to, but that's okay. It's not that big of a deal. We'll go ahead and we'll take this back to the store. We'll just navigate through here. I should have dropped on the road out there next to the other field. But anyway, we'll go ahead and we'll take this back to the store. We'll get it returned. You know what? It's not going to make any difference. I'll go ahead and get the weeder now, since I'm here, and we'll go ahead and grab the tires for running it on this tractor that I'm driving in. So let's see, the engine setup is 180. We don't want to change that. Wheel weights, medium tires, wide tires, wides, narrows. Here we go. That's exactly what I thought we were going to have. TM600s, give or take. I think that's what that is, actually. Let's see, trailer board. Yeah, TM600s is exactly what I thought we were going to end up with. So we'll just run those because they actually do look really nice. They look really, really nice on this tractor. I'll probably just run those permanently. Only $1,000. That's actually incredible. So we'll go ahead and do that. So far, I've sunk quite a bit of money into leasing vehicles to get this these fields going. And then, of course, I took out a loan and I've purchased the grain mill so we can get that better improved value on our sorghum as we get it out. Because normally we would only get like maybe on a 50,000 yield, we might get $40,000 best value, and Well, no, I think that's a little bit too aggressive. It's only like a 10% loss per thousand for 1,000 of money. So it's like 45, 44, 45 best case scenario. But we can improve that to about 75,000 just by turning it into flour. But the problem I'm going to run into is that I don't have a good way to transport it other than the Lizard Dragon, and I'm still going to have to lease a vehicle to get it off the ground. So this might be a case where it's actually may behoove me to talk to Grandpa about selling him back his land sooner rather than later, and kind of get us off the smaller fields and onto like a bigger field somewhere. Okay, let's go ahead and get this pass made. So we want to have the greatest use of it at all times, and the greatest use of it is really to kind of just hit as many fields with it as I can. And this will actually make it take a little bit less time than if I had gone just up and down, left and right, looking at it from here. So let's go ahead and we'll just do it this way. I would have much preferred having the backpack for this. Would have made it much faster, but it is what it is. You can't win them all. I already knew that I wasn't going to have enough herbicide if I did that, and I didn't want to have to figure out transporting it. The container, that is. Or as you can see where I've taken out that sign a couple of times. Rip. Rest in pepperoni. I almost had a bad time. Try not to catch the fence in the tree. Working with these huge widths, especially when you get into the larger ones, honestly, is when you really kind of have to start paying a lot of attention to your surroundings. When you do stuff with the cedar and it looks like just a grass field, that's right, I cleared out this strip so I could turn around. When everything just looks like a grass field, it's really hard to see the weeds sometimes, especially when they're the small weeds like this right after plowing. Now, one thing I will point out is that in 22, if you plowed or used a subsoiler, you would actually eliminate weeds altogether. And that was actually something that I did very frequently to avoid this step. And I really hope there is a way to do that in 25, and I just haven't found it yet. But we will find it together because there's a lot of experimentation that still has yet to be done. I did notice that there is ways to purchase materials from the warehouse. I thought that because, and I did forget to do this earlier in the episode, but there is the pile of rocks over in that building over there, off in the distance, that you're supposed to be able to pull from and put into the cement company next to it in order to get cement bags quickly and effectively. But when you purchase right now, I'm going to put this out there right now, in this current state of the game, if you purchase the cement company, it does not come with that access to that stack of rocks. It is currently a known bug, and I'm waiting to hear back to see if it's going to be repaired. I'm kind of watching Twitter and a couple other places to see Reddit and Twitter and a couple other places to see if I can catch any news about it. And when I know about it, I'm going to make sure to mention it. But for the time being, it is broken. It is broken. And they've done a lot of interesting things with the sound design. I keep hearing like the bugs. Man. Okay, so I'm going to pull this across here. I have a feeling I'm going to take out that sign. Yeah, I'm definitely going to take it. I'm going to try to avoid taking out that sign. Oh, it looks like I may have already taken it out. Whoops. Had to not go after it. Have to sweep to the right here to grab that last little bit. Well, maybe not. Maybe I could just kind of do like this. Yeah, there we go. And here it is. Go ahead and fold this up. We will take it back to the shop. We will get it traded back in. Let's go ahead, get this traded back in. Go. Okay. That's all she wrote for this episode. Hey, my dudes. On the next episode, we are going to be starting on getting this sorghum out of the ground and over to our brand new grain mill to get sold as flour. We're not going to sell it as bread. We're going to sell it as flour. And that's just because the price of bread is going to make it imperative that we have more land to put more product into the grain mill to make more flour in order to make it worthwhile to make bread. Now, it is worthwhile to make bread currently, but I'm choosing not to in order to save that money and put it back into purchasing more land later. So that's actually going to be it for this episode. I will see you on the other side, my dudes. Have a good one. Cheers.